Hi guys, welcome back to the Tech Chap, and today I'm joined by fellow YouTuber and PC enthusiast Marcus Cole from PCCentric. Marcus, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me, absolute pleasure to be here.
Now today I want to talk about smartphones, but not just what's the best one, but kind of the question of when should you upgrade? Because as you know, as everyone knows, smartphones are expensive, there's so many models to choose from, and you know, they seem to be updated every 6 months, every year. What's your current smartphone?
Well, actually, at the moment, I'm still using my Samsung Galaxy Note 4. Picked that up pretty much release day, maybe a few days afterwards. Been loving it ever since. And it's mainly really been a mixture of the sort of contract length. I know a lot of us are tied into a contract. And the fact it's got a removable battery and quick charging, things like that. But I just haven't really seen any need to upgrade just yet. What are you using?
Well, I've just invested, I think you could call it an investment, upgraded to a Galaxy S7. I've been playing with the S7 Edge and the S7, and I've actually settled on the S7. Even though most people seem to prefer the Edge, I actually found it a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit unwieldy. I found the slightly more compact 5.1-inch S7 a bit easier to use and just as good in terms of performance, and the battery's still a significant improvement over the S6, but not quite the same as the S7 Edge. So I've gone all out. I've paid nearly about 550 quid to get the S7, so it's an awful lot of money. Now obviously the Note 5, unfortunately the successor to what Marcus is using, didn't come to the UK, which was disappointing. Was that something you were a bit annoyed about, Marcus? Would you have bought the Note 5 if it had been available here in the UK?
Well, I definitely would have been tempted. Like I say, I was on the contract, but I've broken the contract before, so for me that's not really so much of a big deal. I know the Note 5 at the time, it won one of the awards for literally having the best screen on a phone. I don't really tend to use the S Pen, but for me, and this is the same looking at the new phones that are coming out, I think just having a removable battery for me is one of the main things that will make me upgrade. And as good as the new S7 and S7 Edge is, I just feel like phones are sort of designed to be thrown away in a couple of years as the batteries deplete. I don't know if you feel the same?
So you're a bit more into the new LG G5, I guess, with its removable battery, or at least the Note series. I agree with you that I think the design, a bit like Apple really, Samsung's in some ways following Apple, and that's a very controversial statement, but in terms of form over function, we've lost the removable battery of the S5, obviously on the Note 4 as well. You and I may be a bit more practical in terms of wanting micro SD card support, wanting removable battery support, whereas other people who were to go into a phone shop and just, you know, they're not really sure what they want, might quite like the look of a phone, and that might take a bit, you know, more of a priority over its removable battery or modular design or something. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'd agree with you. I mean, iPhones have been the best-selling phone for, what, I mean, coming up for 10 years now. Absolutely crazy, and they have never had SD cards, and they've never had removable batteries or anything like that. And so I definitely agree, and when you sort of tell people with your friends, oh, I've got an Android phone, if they've got an iPhone, they might say, well, iPhone's clearly better, and you can say, mine's got removable battery, they will not care. So yeah, definitely I agree with you, and you can see why the S6 and the S7 is selling so well, because they have that really nice design and they are desirable phones, and at the end of the day, desirable phones actually sell. So I think that probably is the main factor for most people, which is why Samsung have gone down that route. But of course they've added micro SD card support as well. So for me, pretty much all the boxes really are ticked, other than that removable battery. But the LG G5 of course has a removable battery, it's got full modular design, and it's got a unibody design at the same time. So for a lot of people that could be the answer. What's your take on the LG G5?
I was quite excited beforehand, but when I got my hands on it, I found it not quite as premium as I thought it would be. It's got an all-metal design, but if you hold one, I think it's aluminium. It feels kind of hollow, and I've got some strong thoughts on the modular design of it, because the only two first-party at the moment modules you can plug in basically to the bottom of the phone is an audio enhancer and also a camera accessory, which adds a small battery and also a shutter button and a record button, as well as a digital zoom wheel. Neither of which I would really ever use, nor carry around with me in my jacket pocket or my bag, thinking that maybe later today I'll want to take some photos and I want to have a scroll wheel to use digital zoom. And also, what company is trying to encourage people to use a digital zoom on their smartphones? It's ludicrous. You know, one of the key features of the G5 is it's got a dual camera. It's got 16 and an 8 megapixel camera, but the 8 megapixel is a much wider field of view, which has a benefit because then you can sort of zoom out a bit and get much more in the frame. But I don't think there's much value to the modular design unless there's loads of third-party accessories that do come out. That might change it. But again, going back to the average Joe who walks into a phone shop, are they going to care that there's a sound amplifier module you can buy for 50, 60 pounds extra that you can plug into your phone? Is a modular design something that 90% of people are going to care about?
No, I don't think so at all. Ironically, I've been talking to a friend about this module, and I wouldn't say we're excited about it. We both sort of like our hi-fi, we're both into sort of audiophile quality, but even we're not really that fussed by it. So like you say, the average Joe just isn't really going to care about those sorts of features at all. If they can come up with a module that is going to appeal to everyone, then fair enough. But LG have always been trying to do things different to the market, haven't they? And when you see the S6 selling so well, the HTC One when it came out was selling so well, LG have finally caught up in terms of the unibody design, and they've said that they've managed to do this without sacrificing the SD card slot, the battery, and they've got this whole modular design. But it's a sad day, but people just generally, unless it's a lot cheaper, I can't really see them caring.
But we're talking about flagship phones here. We're talking about £500, £600 phones. Would you ever consider a budget option? I'm talking mid-range, maybe like the Nexus 5X, the Sony Z compact series have been very popular, and also, dare I say, the iPhone SE. Would you be interested in that?
No, not at all for the iPhone SE, because obviously, although it's a budget phone, it's still quite a premium budget phone. I'm a big fan of the Moto G. I know quite a lot of people have that phone. I've used it myself. It's a brilliant phone, and every iteration is better than the last one. So it's good to see that there are options out there for people that don't want to spend as much money on a smartphone. But then you've also got cool stuff like the Nexus, which has always been a bit cheaper. It's a bit more expensive than it used to be. But you've also got the OnePlus One and the OnePlus X. So I think at the budget end, you definitely got your stuff covered. You've got Windows phones as well, that the budget phones, to be honest, as long as you don't need apps. The budget Windows phones are actually quite good, and a lot of people are quite happy with them. But yeah, to be honest, at the budget end, I mean, we don't talk about this as often, do we? But at the budget end, there's plenty of options out there, and I don't think that too many people are going to have an issue picking up a decent budget phone. It's just buying the right one, because for every good budget phone, there's probably about 3 crap budget phones.
Well, I'm guilty of focusing on the flagships because it gets all the marketing buzz. People search for it on YouTube, so it helps my channel to grow. But there's so many great budget and mid-range phones you can choose from. I think the Moto G, which you mentioned, is a great option. I reviewed that a few months ago. And it's certainly not as premium as a S7 or something, but it's often half the price. And with recent Android updates, with Android 5 and then obviously most recently Android 6, the user experience has become so smooth, so responsive on fairly mid-range hardware, 2 gigs of RAM, maybe a Snapdragon 615 or something, that you don't need this super fast, awesome Snapdragon 820s and 4 gigs of RAM. Generally, for what most people are doing, swiping between home screens, opening apps, playing the odd game, it's perfectly fine. The only areas I find mid-range phones suffer is in the camera department a little bit. They're not quite as high-end as the flagships, and also the design. Usually they're using cheaper materials, but that's not going to be a deal breaker for most people.
How often would you upgrade your phone?
I was just about to ask you that very same question. Well, I actually tend to upgrade every year. I probably shouldn't. I know there really isn't a big enough upgrade. It's always, well, the last couple of years at least, it's been pretty incremental, pretty evolutionary. Coming from the S6, which I did have for a full year until the S7, which came out a few weeks ago, it is better. And for me, the biggest upgrade has been the battery life. The S6 was pretty appalling for me in terms of battery life. The S7 is a huge step up, and I've actually done a few battery comparisons as well, some speed tests and some camera tests between them, which you can find out on my channel. When it comes to things like the battery life and the camera upgrade with its wider f1.7 aperture, these things actually make quite a big difference to me in everyday life. So I can almost rationalize why I think I need to upgrade every year. But how about you? You're still with the Note 4?
I used to pay £12, got a new battery, slipped it in the Note 4, and I'm as happy as I was the sort of day I bought it. And it's one of those things, isn't it, that when the new thing comes out, and Apple have always been really good at doing this, they make you want to buy the latest phone. They've got these features in there. And it takes a lot of willpower, for me at least, to sort of resist the urge. And the only way I sort of manage to do that is I really sort of sit down and think, if I spend £700, buy it outright, pick up this new phone, how is it going to affect me on a day-to-day life, and is it worth that amount of money?
I've read a report recently that if you wait 2 to 3 months after a Samsung phone comes out, the latest flagship, you can get it for nearly a quarter less, about 25% less. Are you someone who gets swept up in the buzz? Are you, if there's a phone that's coming out, you're really excited for it, are you going to pre-order it, get it day one, or are you going to be queuing up in the Apple Store, or are you happy to wait a couple of months and get it a bit cheaper?
If I want something, then to be honest, I will get it the day it comes out. I definitely am guilty of getting swept up in the marketing buzz. And as long as I'm sort of still happy with it a few weeks, months later, then I'm not too fussed. But I've sort of realised now that especially with phone contracts, if you buy it on a contract rather than outright, that's probably when it's not really worth getting it day one, because I'm paying, I think it's £40 a month, which works out all in all for about £970 or something. I think I worked it out over the course of the contract. And like you say, if you'd waited 3 or 4 months, you might have got it a bit cheaper. You can certainly negotiate 3 or 4 months in. It's always worth, especially if it's a slightly older phone, if you go into a phone shop, just basically saying, look, I know you can do a bit better than that. I want to buy it from you. What can you do? And then they can normally help you out a little bit, especially if it's on contract. And if you wait a bit longer, then you're more likely to get a better deal. I'm not sure how that works with buying it sort of outright. If you buy it from a third party, it probably will get a bit cheaper. If you buy it from the store, then you're probably not really likely to save so much money. So I think my next tactic, unless something amazing comes up, will be to buy a phone outright and then get a cheaper contract, sort of SIM only, and then go from there really, and to see if that actually saves me money in the long run. And then you can upgrade your phone a bit sooner if you want to. You can sell your old phone, and it's going to basically cost you a bit less money.
Well, that's pretty interesting. It's great to hear your take on things, Marcus. So thank you very much for coming on the Tech Chat.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Genuinely, it's an absolute pleasure. I haven't really done many collaborations before, but I saw that your channel was doing very well, and hopefully I think we're fairly similar, at least in our style and the stuff we cover. And hopefully, obviously, both of us will sort of be able to do this sort of thing again. We do have a video, actually, on our channel all about monitors. Yeah, it was great to do. We were discussing FreeSync and G-Sync and some PC monitor stuff. So Marcus at PCCentric really is the go-to channel for everything PCs, everything computers. So go and check him out and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you over on my channel.
Thank you very much, Marcus, and thank you guys for watching. Do let us know in the comments below what your favourite phone is, how often you upgrade, and what are the must-have features that you look for. Thank you very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you again right here on the Tech Chat.